Welcome to UPA Website Management Guide online tutorial. Today we're going to be doing Setting Up a League. I'm going to start by sharing my desktop and bring up the site. It's already logged into as a content manager. So you know you're logged in as a content manager when you see this little black bar across the top with all of those menus available. So just to get a little bit of background first, the UPA website is built on a content management system known as Drupal. A management system is a computer system that allows publishing, editing, and modifying content, as well as site maintenance from a central page. It provides action of procedures used to manage workflow in a collaborative environment. A definition just pulled from Wikipedia. The UPA uses pre-configured Drupal content management system, so Drupal is the name of the CMS, and it hosts the website through a company called iScoreIt, iScoreIt.com. So inside many content management systems, including Drupal, there are a series of modules that perform specific functions. For example, one module might control registration, another module might host forums. So it has provided UPA with a configuration of modules important to any website, including basic modules from the Drupal open source community, so like registration modules. And then they've also built and provided certain modules specifically to administer a sports league. So when browsing through the site, these custom modules are found under the Ultimate League Manager menu. And you'll see the menu. That's for Ultimate League Manager. Okay, so the way that Drupal is set up is there are several different roles. So the administrator is able to control what privileges a user with a certain role may have. Currently, the roles available within the UPA website are: one, anonymous. So this is someone who's browsing the site but has not created an account or is not logged in. The second is registered. So it's a user that's logged through a registered account but hasn't purchased a membership. So the next one up is the membership or member, and that's a user who's logged in and has purchased a UPA membership. The content manager, so that's a user who has permissions to perform certain administrative actions such as managing leagues and whatnot. So basically everyone on the board of directors is a content manager. In fact, we've made the content manager permissions pretty high so that they're almost equivalent to the top type of user, which is the ULM manager. That person is sort of like the grand poobah and can do basically anything on the site and can assign and change privileges. So in the Ultimate League Manager, so those are the modules that iScoreIt has put together, they've assigned several roles that a particular user could have within the league structure. So the user's role within these modules dictates what they're able to do only within these modules. So for our purposes, we can assume that anyone who is assigned one of these roles is at least a member. So the designated roles are for player, so that's no special access. They just have their own schedules displayed on their page and in blocks of the books on the right-hand side. The second type is a player that can submit scores, and a captain can allow as many players in their team to enter the score as they just have to say they are a player that can submit scores. Captain can manage his or her team roster and general information. The ULM manager is responsible to add one captain per team, and then everything up to the captain. A captain can assign a player that can submit scores to other players or captains or other roles. There's the division coordinator. Currently, we don't really use division coordinators in UPA. This would be someone, say, if there was one person in charge of Tier 1 and one person in charge of Tier 2, but it's built into the system. So we do have that flexibility to use that. Finally, we have the league coordinator. That would be someone like the summer league coordinators or the winter league coordinator, and they can manage all the games in this league, and he or she can create new games as well. Again, on top of that, you have the ULM manager, and they can basically do everything. So what I take you through today are some of the aspects of the website related to creating a league structure. So the first thing you need to do in order to create a league is to configure your association structure. Now, fortunately, a lot of this was done kind of as a one-time thing, so you shouldn't need to do too much here, but if you ever want to change things, it's good to know. So I'm going to start by going to the site, and the site address, so it's upa.ca, and then admin, and then /ULM, so the Ultimate League Manager. here we go. The page is going to come up. There's some security updates that need to be done, but that's done at the iScore end. So the first part is basically because of the fact that Drupal has its own registration module, and then ULM, the Ultimate League Manager, also has some fields within its own system that it needs to use. It's saying, well, instead of people filling it out twice, we'll just pull information from their registration. So what this allows you to do is basically map up the fields from the Drupal registration and the ULM registration. So it's you which you want to use for name. So there's things that are broad regular registration, but we're matching name with name, membership ID with user ID, date of birth with date of birth, first name with first name. This box here was set up for the self-evaluation choices. So we put in our self-evaluation choices in this box. Okay, we go down here. What you're seeing here, display schedule results and statistics under different menus. So we're just saying that we want them display different menus, just leave them as it is. Use this module UC role to membership. We're alone for right now because I don't really know what it does, and we'll need to check. So this here enables you to put different player positions that you can assign to various people, and you can put in your own options. So in this case, we didn't want to be too serious, so we do have handler and cutter, and then we also put in cherry picker, sideline heckler, or just there's positions. This next box down, it's the list of self-evaluation choices. So our players rank themselves on a scale of 1 to 9. So in order to make the drop-down menu, you need to put the various options. So we have every whole integer and whole and a half integer. So 1, 2, there goes. Okay. These fields here, the DM field and the DP field, these were mostly used when the Canadian Ultimate Championships were using this system. It has to do with the date on which, since you first started playing and whatnot. So we're not going to concern ourselves with those. We don't even have those show up in our profile right now. Divisions list. This is used for players to indicate which divisions they are willing to sub in. Now, because Summer League generally has 8 divisions, we've listed 8 different options here. So, but if you had fewer divisions or more, you could adjust this list. All right, the next box we're looking at under the late submit email reminder. This basically is asking you, after how long would you like to remind players that they need to submit a score? Working 24 hours. The time they have to enter a score is 168 hours. After that time, they'll be sent an email, and they'll no longer be able to enter a score. And we're going to scroll down and see how that works. So next is the email for reminding people to enter their score. So right here, this is an email to remind you to enter the score for the team you just played. The game you just played. And then you're able to use these tokens. So I have entered a token here, opponent team, and it will automatically insert that opponent team. And make this a little more detailed by putting the day of the game and where it was held. And we could do that later, but not real. Okay, so then we scroll down a little bit, and this is for the email that's going to go out at the end of the 168 hours. So the final subject, you didn't enter a score. Here we just say you forgot to enter a score from match on this day. A league coordinator will now enter a score on your behalf. So this is just letting them know that their chances are over. Okay, on the next part, if we go down a little bit further, this is just asking you how it's ordered by default. This is not how the standings are calculated, to be clear about that. The standings in ULM are calculated using Ultimate USA standards, in which teams are ordered by wins, then plus minus, the best spirit, then games. So if 2 teams have the same number of points, the system looks at the matches between those 2 teams and plays the winner first. This is basically just saying how you would like the teams ordered on the statistics page. So we're telling them that we want them ordered by the number of wins. One is gender, and I think that's just gender. I think it's just in the wrong place. It should be up further, I think. Automatic email contents. This is for the Spirit email, and unfortunately we're figuring out a few things about that. So we'll have to update this tutorial later. Field comment email. This is actually an email that's going to go to the person in charge of that player league that you might designate here. So, and it's going to come from the player who enters the score after the game, just if there was any comment. So we're saying now we want those emails to go to winter@yupa.ca, and the subject is comments regarding the recent game. And what we actually entered in is a sentence that's going to go at the top of every game, so that when that email goes to the person winter@yupa.ca, they know which matches they're referring to. So at the end of every email, it will say this email concerns a game between home team and home team on match date at match venue, match field. And use the tokens there so that they know exactly what game that's referring to. So when we're done all this, we're just going to say save configurations and be in good shape to move forward. So we're at a point where we've set up all the association information and we're ready to start developing our structure of what our games are going to look like in our leagues. So we're going to go in the order. We're going to start with creating our seasons, then we're going to create our leagues, then we are going to create other features, and I'm going to go in order. So first thing we want to do is look at our seasons. So we're going to go over to our ULM Manager account, and or on the right side, we're actually going to go to quick links. Quick links. And when you look down here, you will see there are several different menu items here. We're going to start with seasons. So seasons is the one you want to go to first. Okay, so we did have most of our seasons set up. If you did want to create a new season, you would go add season. Okay, Robin. Okay, and you want to set the start date and the end date for that season. It's really important that they're on January 1st. It's really important that the season contain all the potential game dates, so it doesn't have to start exactly on the day of the first game or end exactly on the day of the last game. Seasons can overlap, but games will only be scheduled inside that season date, so you need to make sure that the games fall in there. So I'm going to do a 2-month season, January 1st to February 28th. Okay. This here would normally refer to what product you want this season to be listed at when people are registering for that. It's a little confusing right now because we actually want it to be week, so this is possibly going to change. So I'm just going to leave it as hat black right now, which is actually a black hat, but we'll leave that for a second. So this will have to be updated as well. So I'll save that. Created a new test season number 1. It's January 1st, and the end date is February 28th. If I were to go into the ULM for that, I'm able to add leagues to my season, and we're going to come back to that because we do need to be able to, we need to create leagues to add into our season. This is because you have multiple leagues within a season. So for example, in the spring, you can have your spring season, and in that you could have Women's Ultimate Challenge and 3-on-3 and the other programs. If I did edit the information, I would simply click on Edit tab, and then I can revise all of the information that I've previously entered. I would delete the season. So save that. So in this case, I just want to view the season. And that the season is long enough to include all games, or the scheduler won't work properly. Okay, now on to the next. Now we need to create the leagues that are going to go into our season. So back down in this, we can click on leagues. I have quite a few leagues here. If I want to create a new league, click leagues. Okay, and in this one, I've got to create, call this again, League 1. Okay, and we can have a league coordinator. In this case, I'm going to make myself the coordinator, and my membership number is 7, so I put my membership number in there. So it is by the membership number. My game length, I want to have hour-long games, so I'm going to put 1 hour for the games. I want these games to start in my season, so I want them to start in January 1st. Okay. Unless they're going to be every Tuesday. So February 13th is going to be February 26th. Roster end date indicates the last date by which anyone can enter onto a team. And I'm going to give people a 1-week grace into the season, just in case people don't show up the first day. My roster end date is going to be January 8th. The Spirit, we would like that to go to the present because, no, we want to go to rules because we take that very seriously. We want that to go right to the rules committee if there's any problem. And this is asking, do we want a late submit Spirit score email, so a last warning to players. So we want to remind people when they're having their last warning to enter the Spirit. This minimum women is basically saying, do we want a minimum number of women or men that need to be on the team? And I'm just going to leave that for now. These checkboxes for allow a player to play in multiple teams on the same day. This might work if you have different tiers running on the same, you avoid games being scheduled together. You might say you don't want to allow a player to play multiple teams on this day. Allow a team to add a player that did not pay his membership. We do not check that. And use a specific note for an injury report. We can say that they can be redirected to a specific note if an injury is checked, but we're not going to do that right now because it could be a report that we have. So I'm just going to say that. I thought that was my number. So let's just try 30 because I do believe that is someone we know. So now I have a new league that has been created. So again, I can go, if I wanted to make changes, I would go to the Edit tab. And if I go to the Ultimate League Manager of this league, a bunch of different things that we're going to come back to. But in fact, the next thing I would like to do is to create the rounds within my league. So I have I have my seasons, I have my leagues. Now I want to look at the rounds. So rounds are pretty handy in something like the summer, where we do probably 7 or 8 changes. So once the season of leagues have been created, you now can designate rounds within your season. For example, Summer League may have several rounds, each lasting 3 weeks, after which time the teams are moved according to the win and loss record. A small league may only have 1 round. So on the rounds in the quick links, click on the Add Round button. Now remember, rounds are shared between leagues, so you do not need to complete multiple round 1 unless there are specific characteristics that differ among the rounds. And so you name your round, so we'll call this Test Round 1. And now we're going to specify the round type from the drop-down menu. So this is a defining and crucial piece of information for the automatic scheduling. There's only 2 options right now, round robin or single elimination. So in most cases, we're going to have round robin, and left is the round for the plus. So we're going to save here. Okay, so now we have pressed save, and we can add additional rounds if we wanted to. if we went rounds. Okay. So we click on, so now we've got our round defined. We're going to click on venues in the quick links. Or system is set up. You have venues and then you also have fields. So you can have multiple fields at a venue, and what this does is help from preventing the setup like hundreds of different fields. So for example, Cascateo, that's a venue, and there are 7 fields at Cascateo. So let's say we wanted to add a venue. Say that the venue name is Test Venue 1. Oops. Okay, we can write a description, a great field, or a great venue, I should say. And we can put in directions if we like. And turn right. Please don't any sort of little thing you wanted to say. And then I could put in an address. So 100 Ave, North 10. Okay. And I'm just going to take out these longitudes and latitudes and just leave the address in there. Okay, I'm going to be able to press save there. What you're going to notice it says is there's no master schedule defined for this venue. This venue will be ignored for scheduling. What it's just telling you is that you haven't indicated when this venue is available. So we're actually going to do that now, and it's very simple. You just go up to the ULM tab. Okay, and we have here our we're defining that the scheduled day, or for this venue, sorry. This is set up a little awkwardly because it says time slot and then exclusion here, and then this box is where you put in the time slots that's available. And a nice feature of this, though, is that you're able to include exclude dates. So perhaps the city tells you that the fields are unavailable on a certain day, then you can deal with that and it'll automatically exclude that day from scheduling. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, because we decided our games are going to be on Tuesdays, we're going to say that Test Venue 1 is available Tuesdays. We have it booked, let's say, from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock p.m. I'm going to say there now it's available Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. And we're also going to say, though, that unfortunately on January 22nd, there's going to be a Girl Guides tournament, Girl Guides sleepover, and we're not going to be able to use that entire venue that day. So we're just going to put here. We said Girl Guides, we are not going to make a big fuss about that. We're just going to say we won't be able to play games on that day. Okay, so we're going to add that. And here it says, okay, it's available on this day, all these times, but except at the time it's not available, and that's exclusion. Okay, so done. We're going to make sure we save all our changes. The next thing we're going to do, it's really should say the start time and the end time of venue will determine its availability for a league, and if it's too short, no games will ever be scheduled on it. So it's really important to set that availability as widely as possible if you want the games. Well, actually, you want to match when you want the games to be scheduled. And the venue schedule does not determine a league schedule. It's only used to let the system know if that venue can be used within the league or not. So you want to press save and repeat all the steps for your venues. Okay, so you have this Test Venue 1, but there's more than one field there. So we want to go our side, and if we were to click on venue, this venue structure has to be fixed a little bit, but if you go under venues, if you go to again now, if you opened it up, you'll see that there's a little new item called fields. So now you can see all the fields that we have available. And we just want to add a field at our test venue 1. Of course, we're going to add test field 1. Okay. And our venue, it's going to be a drop down now, and it's going to be at test venue 1. And this, and you'd have to put directions here because you have directions to what you could say in the far right hand corner from the plot. You really wanted to say where that field was. Okay, and the weight is just going to allow you to flip the item up and down in terms of where it's listed in the list of venues. So the field. So the heavier it is, the lower it will lift. So if I want this to be low down the list, I'll just put 8. Okay. Don't bother with that too much. It should be okay. That's more fine tuning. So we have this test field 1, and you're going to say, see, it says in the far right hand corner from the parking lot, test venue 1, and so it has all the addresses from the venue itself. So we're in good shape now. And if 100 Avenue does exist. Okay, so we've got all of our fields done now. So we're getting closer. Let's say we had multiple fields, and we had one field that was not available at a certain time. What we can do is we can go back to venue and know that at test venue 1, well, we have one field in here. The ULM now that the venue schedule is listed, and underneath now any fields that are at that venue each get their own box. And I could say that only this field is excluded at a certain date, or this field has a specific availability that is a little bit different. Now, right now, the box saying use master schedule is checked. So what's saying is for this field, it's going to use the master schedule for the venue, which is in the box above. But if I were to unclick this box, I would then be able to enter a separate availability for this field and separate exclusion dates for, say, if just that one field at the venue was unavailable for that day. And I can see the design. So there's some big explanation of this functionality. Well, luckily for you, I just explained it. So we're actually still going to use the master schedule here, and we're going to save those changes. All right, into the configuring gameplay. So now that we have all these necessary pieces, we must carefully configure each one in order to avoid errors later on. So most of the configurations are done by going to the ULM button or link under each element. And we're going to do that by starting under seasons. Okay, that we have test season 1. We're going to click on that and go into it. Okay, we have this ULM tab here on the ULM. So far created the season and we created the league, but we haven't connected the two together. So we've gone inside test season 1 now, and there's no leagues listed inside. So we're going to open this, expand inactive leagues, and now we're going to see all the leagues. And what we want to do is add. We don't want to click on the hyperlink because that will just take us into the information. We're going to click add there, and then we're going to add league. Within test season 1, we have test league 1, and we could remove it if we wanted to, but of course we don't because we just put it in there. Okay, the next step is we're going to enter our teams for this league. So what we're going to do for this part is we want to go down to this ULM quick links, and we're going to go in teams here. Right, listed here all the teams that have ever been created so far. Now, if it was a new team that was just coming into the league, we would click Add Team. Okay, team and name, test. So it would say, if a captain said, I want to start a team called whatever it is, we can say which league we want them to play in, League 1, captain's membership number. In this case, we're going to make the captain Al, so his membership number is 30. If they website, you could put it in. If you know their home jersey color, we're assigning it, you could put it in. For example, if you were setting up a tournament and you wanted people to be, you could always enter the home jerseys as white and the visitor jerseys as black. But this is information that can also be entered by the captain at a later time, so you can just leave that. So basically, that's all you need to create your team. Press save. Take you to Test Team 1's page. There isn't too much information about this right now because they've just been created. And I find the best way to get back to creating more teams is just to go up to the little cookie crumb here and go on Teams. Page with all the teams listed. So you can continue to add teams there if you wanted. Okay. Now we're going to go back to our league. Once all our teams are added, we're going to go to our leagues down here. Of our Test League 1. This time we're going to click on the Manage icon, which is the little file folder, where we can do all sorts of stuff with our league. So what we want to do is add divisions to our league if there so happens to be divisions. So we're probably going to have at least one division if it's a league, and this program allows for up to 10 divisions, right? And so we have something more like 8. But let's say we just have one division. So we're just going to add that division. This is simple. The name of division is going to be Tier 1. Okay. You can assign a color, and that's so that if you do have multiple divisions, when people are looking at the various divisions, they can sort of identify their own division or tier by color. So I'm going to say, okay, I've got my Tier 1, it's purple, save divisions. Now, individual division coordinates, you could enter them here now, but we don't necessarily use those right now, so I'm just going to leave that blank. So I could press update if I had entered a division coordinator. I was just going to bring you right back to this. Next thing you're going to do is click on the General tab, and we're carefully going to enter the start and end times for the leagues for each applicable day. So my leagues are going to be held on Tuesdays, and I want them to occur from, remember we said 6 until 8. And I'm going to say I want to add that. Okay, that is the scheduler will start creating games and calculate time slots based on this information and the game length. So if configured incorrectly, all games will be offset. So we click here, and we're going to click on the Venue tab and the active venues. And what's neat about this is this program will only show you venues that are available for the times you've indicated that your league, that your venues are going to be available. So there are no venues within this league, and so we open up inactive venues. We expand that, and we will use. So all the venues are theoretically available at the times that we've indicated. We use Test Venue 1. Okay, so I add that. That venue now available. So again, only venues available for the time of your league will be displayed. If you don't see venues, it means you haven't made any venues available on that day. If I would go back to configuration of the venues and validate the master schedules. So you click on add venues to add them to your league. Just done that. So now we're going to go and we're going to add teams to our that we've created to our league. So we click on teams. So far, we've only added test team 1 because when we create that team, we automatically added to our league. But let's say the teams have already existed and they're teams that are coming back for years. What we're going to do is expand the inactive teams, and we want to start putting in some of these teams. So I'm going to choose test team 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 because I already have test team 1, and I'm going to add them to my league. Have them created. So here we go into the scheduler there. So if all the teams 1 through 8 in there. Do is create the rounds. So we're going to click on the rounds tab here. Sorry, I shouldn't say create the tabs. We're just going to basically add them into the season. So we have different types of rounds before. We did test round 1. So we're going to check off add, and we're going to add that round. Okay. In this round, we're going to have 1 game per day. This would be like if you're running a tournament. This would probably be a little more. You could specify the number of games that you would allow on a day at a tournament. And we're actually going to need to manage this a little bit. Okay, then this is added those teams into the round. And then we had multiple divisions in team. We would have, or in our league, we have to assign all the teams to a specific division. In this case, we're making everybody in tier 1. Could have left it as none. Putting them in tier 1. Okay, I have to set the dates for our rounds. So in the summer, we generally have them every 3 weeks. In my little scheduling here, I'm going to say my round starts January 1st, my first round, and it goes until it's going to have one round. So I'm going to go to February 26th. Okay. So if I'm making 1 division, 1 round. But if you're using this for Summer League, after the end of a round, then you could go in and you could adjust the tier that people were in to move their up or down. Okay, so we've updated all of that. Update, but never press it again. Pro tip, if you already have an existing round, you can copy its previous team's classification before clicking the button. So you select select the limit of number of games per day for this round. Again, this is crucial for the automatic scheduler. Click on the update button after the change. Oh, that was on the previous page. So we've classified everybody under their division. We've assigned them. The pro tip here, it says, be careful with the time of the end date to be certain your last day includes it. For example, the setting on the last day should be, yes, 000. Okay, set the date to 2010. It says here February 3rd, 000. It will not include the 3rd of February. Oh, so what this is saying is really here I should have scheduled the end of the round for the 27th because it will only go to night on the 26th. So that's a good tip. I'll update that again. Save button when everything is configured, and then click on back in round. So this back to the round. I'm going to create the schedules. Since our leagues are all configured, we can now create the schedules. As soon as the game is validated, it will appear in the schedules and statistics will also be available. All right, so to create a batch of games automatically, we're going to go to the ULM page on our league round, which we've done, and we're going to go to the schedule tab. So we're going to click now on schedule. At the bottom of the page, we wanted to schedule our games for the first round, the test round 1, and we want to schedule a bunch of matches. So we're going to add a bunch of matches. Okay. What's the number of matches per team? So this is for division. So I think we were doing, what weeks did we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Okay, so we want to make sure that everybody gets, well, let's just say we want to make sure everyone gets, oops. It says, oh, actually, we'll just leave that and let it schedule. And then, because it'll just do, so they all play each other if possible. And the start date, like we said, was January. Okay. This is saying we can schedule all the games of the same division in the same time slot, and this would be useful, say, for playoffs if we wanted to rotate between divisions so they all play the same Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, especially if people play both nights, because we want to make sure that they don't play at the same time. And rotate time slot between divisions. This would be if we had a where we had like a A and B division, we could rotate the time slots between those divisions so that, another example would be if we had 2 game times on a single night, who plays the early game and who plays the building. This allows you to bypass validation. We're not going to do that. I would not ever suggest doing that. Okay, so we'll create these matches. So we create matches. So time to think. So now we've got all sorts of things here. Some information about the selected batch of games in a round. If you repeat the batch for this round, the same schedule will start all over and you'll end up having to do the second batch of schedules manually. So it's just saying, just make sure you do all the games for a round at one time. Well, after some time, it may take a few minutes. If you have a big league, you will be returned to the previous screen and a batch of games ready to be validated. Some information at the top is displayed to let you know how things went and how many games were created. Auto games will never make a game valid. You must always validate them after. Okay, so here what we see is that it scheduled all the games at the test van test 1, but unfortunately we had so many teams there just weren't enough venues and fields to go around. So you'll see that that's a bit of a problem there. They aren't occurring. So in this case, there were not enough slots to accommodate the rounds. When more fields were added and the scheduler and everything was rerun, the results were much better below. So in this case, we're just going to leave this for now, but you'll see you get report here. If we look at this, and these little red dots indicate that these games are not validated. So I have 2 options here. I could go back and add another field or menu to this, and I could rerun the scheduler and it would place those games. Or I could actually go in manually and edit this game. Try, oh, see, not available. So I actually have to go back and add more fields to this. And I'm here. So some of the games were scheduled, but I did not have enough fields to accommodate all the games that I wanted to do. So next thing I want to do is validate the matches. So what I'm going to do, I could press all and validate all of these, but I don't have a venue and a field for some of them. So maybe I only want to validate the ones that. Okay, so they're all good. Well, let's say I want to validate these ones. Okay. Once I've selected the ones that I want to validate, I can then select matches. So I would with these ones. Now I can see which ones have been validated and which ones have not. I also move things around a little bit, again, by going into these edit tabs. And I could actually change which team is playing which team at these times. And if I wanted to reschedule the game for a different time, I could actually change the date and the time that was occurring. Let's do that as well. We're all done. I had several of my matches match is validated, I'm pretty much ready to go. Now, in some cases, you might want to manually create a single game. To do this, you would click on the ULM tab, like we said at the top of the page, and then you would click on the Schedule tab, where we have before, and at the bottom of the page, you can add a match. So we would just add a single match. Okay, be able to click which team is playing against which team on which date. And you'll see automatically select first available field. You can actually expand this to send an email and say, hey, this is running your rescheduled game. I've put you on this field. So we have that as well. This is convenient when you don't want to bother with selecting a field in a time slot. So you click on the Save button. And if you, in this case, we click Cancel, but if you selected one, you would say click on the Save button. And if you did not ask to automatically select a field, you'll be prompted to select one within the list. Only available fields are shown. Click the Save button again, and you will be returned to the previous screen, and your game will automatically be validated. So manual games are automatically validated. Okay. If we wanted to reschedule a game, we would select the game we wish to reschedule. Like this one, and we would click Reschedule Matches. Okay, you want to reschedule it, and it would rely on field availability to reschedule the match. Now again, if you have a specific time in mind, then you might just put in that time in the manual game rescheduling. You actually go in and just change the time of the game that it already exists. Okay, we press Save, and in this case, I'll just do Cancel, and the revised list of the games will appear. If your rescheduled game falls outside the parameters of the current round settings, you will be notified in red. However, the game will still be validated because you created it manually. Within your league have now all been set. Notice the calendar if you were to go back to the main page. It would now show highlighted numbers on dates on which there are games. So click a date will show you games that are occurring on that day. Okay, in this case, games have already been played. To all the games scheduled within a league, click on Schedules and Standings, Schedules and Results here in the Quick Links menu. Oops, mistaken. League. Okay, Friday. Oops. Oh, right. Schedule and Standings, League. Okay, so it's going to show you all the games that have occurred within that league. In the next little tutorial, we're going to talk about things from the captain's perspective, but just the last note here. As the ULM manager, you can manually enter the results from the perspective of either team. So to do this, you would click on an edit icon under the result, and the result on the left-hand side, you can spirit the result. But it's important to note that otherwise do not see what these spirit scores are. So I click into, I'm able to alter the score if I wanted to. I have to alter from both perspectives so that the score is matched, but that's what it looks like. And that's the final note about creating the leagues and schedules, and the next tutorial will be about things from a captain's perspective. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen, recording, and we're going to leave it there for now. If you have any questions, email print@uca.ca.